Hey everyone, Ultimate456 here with a channel update video. Yes, it's been, what was it, October last year that I did one, so I figured I should probably do another one. If everything goes according to plan, you're probably watching this on it's releasing on a Monday at 3 p.m. in Australian time, so probably mostly Sunday for everyone else, or early Monday. Yeah, so let's get into it. Final Fantasy VII Remake is finally done, including the DLC. It's taken me quite a long time, like 137 episodes, which is it's like 4.5 months. So it is. It took a lot longer than I actually expected it to take, but it's how it goes. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, though. I've said many times that I think it's actually the best remake that exists right now, and yeah, it's incredible, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm so desperate for news concerning the second game. I just really want to hear the second game's, like, I want to see more content on it, because especially ever since, like, at the beginning of the year, Square Enix was like, oh, we have so much to show you this year, and I'm just like, okay, where is it? We're like in March. Final Fantasy 16 supposedly comes out in June, so you better start showing that. And then I think that's maybe what they're waiting for. Maybe they have to show. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they have to actually show a few more clips from 16 before they can show something from Rebirth. But it would be nice to have like another little clip of Rebirth. I just really want to see just a little bit more, some gameplay elements. That would be so cool. One thing I did for this, because I'm going to talk about Elden Ring next. The DLC has also been announced for that. And to be honest, I'm not like 100% excited for it. I think like a game like Elden Ring, I'm just probably not going to do again. It's too big. Open world is just, it's too much. And it took a long time to get through it. So I actually wrote down how many hours it took total to do everything. So I'm just going to quickly read what I've written here. I look, in regards to the DLC, depending on what it is, I probably will still do it, especially if it's got trophies. I'll still try and get around to it at some point. But to let you know, the guide. So the profile I used for the guide was my main profile, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and the profile I used for practice was my side profile. For practice, I played, because the PlayStation 5 just got a recent update where they added how many hours you've played said game, and I'm pretty confident that also includes hours that you've done on previous platforms. So, and I'll explain what I mean next in a moment. But for Elden Ring, on my practice playthrough, it said I played 286 hours. And then for my guide playthrough, it says I played 106 hours. So in total, 392 hours, which is a very long time. That's most, like, I would say that might be like, in terms of just raw hours spent, that might be like the 10th most played game I've ever played. And probably even like maybe 8th or 7th, which is that's crazy. That's an insane amount of hours. In comparison, Final Fantasy VII Remake, now remember, I played it across 4 different accounts. One of them was for the guide, one of them was the PS4 version on my main account, and then the other 2 were PS5 and PS4 version on my side account, so that equals 4. The amount of hours was 61 plus 60 plus 83, and then the last one was plus 114, and I'm guessing, and this is where my belief that it includes earlier playthroughs on different consoles, I think the 114 hours is inclusive of when I played it in 2020, because I played it on my side profile in 2020, and that's the one that had 114 hours on the PS4. So all of that together is 318. That's still a lot of hours. It's, what is that? Almost 80 hours less than Elden Ring, but yeah, that's that's a big difference. Okay, next thing. Now, the next thing you might be surprised to know, I don't usually talk about Nintendo that much, but they had a semi-recent Nintendo Direct where they announced a bunch of releases, and there was a lot of stuff on there that I was pretty hype about. I was like, oh my goodness, this is actually kind of insane. So the ones that I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to all these games, so I probably won't even play them, or at least not all of them. Hopefully I can play one of them. Actually, there's definitely one I definitely want to play. So they announced that they'll be releasing the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection Volume 1 on April 14th. So Mega Man Battle Network was a game that I remember I played it as a younger guy. I really, really, really liked that version of Mega Man. Mega Man has had so many different iterations in the past, and that version was awesome. Like, I just remember really loving it. And it was one of those games where, like, I remember I finished the first one, and then I think I tried to play the second one, but I just couldn't get into it as much. So, having it there as a legacy collection is pretty cool. And it's also going to be available on the PlayStation 4, or PlayStation, I guess we could just say. So that's pretty cool. I don't know, maybe I'll get that. I'm not 100% sure. The next one was Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot on April 24th. So Advance Wars, same thing. It was another game that I played. I played the beginning of it quite a lot, but I don't think I ended up finishing it. And it was one of those games where I started it and never ended up finishing it. So again, maybe I'll play that one, maybe I won't. That one's only on Switch, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I really loved Advance Wars. It's kind of like, isn't Advance Wars like the same type of game as like Final Fantasy Tactics or like a Fire Emblem? There's that one bit in Evoland 2 where it's a tactical RPG, right? A TRPG. So yeah, it was really cool, and it would be nice to try and play that game again. That's weird. Some like dust or something was floating. The next thing that they announced actually, so a lot of this, both of those were announced, but the next one I don't even know if it was in the thing, but I was just like looking through the Nintendo website, and it had Final Fantasy 1 to 6 collection, May 31st. Now, apparently this isn't the Pixel Remaster, because the Pixel Remaster said that it was going to come out later in Q2. So we're getting to Q2, but it didn't have like a specific release date. So yeah, I'm a bit confused by that one. But Square having the, this game preservation mentality to, as a lot of other companies are doing now as well. Capcom is another one that's been doing that. Re-releases of old games that can become available on current hardware, so that way we can continue playing them as we go. And yeah, Final Fantasy, now basically every main Final Fantasy is on like PlayStation, or will be very, very soon, something like that. The next one just blew me away. People went insane for this, as far as I'm aware. The Etrian Odyssey collection. So there's Etrian Odyssey HD 1, 2, and 3. And then there's the Origins HD collection, which I believe is basically the same thing. It just comes with a few added extras. If you have never, if you consider yourself an RPG fan and you're like really good at them and you've beaten a lot, play Etrian Odyssey. If you can beat Etrian Odyssey, especially if you can beat the original, play the HD version, because I'm sure there's a few quality of life upgrades in those. But if you can beat Etrian Odyssey, any of them, like, you deserve I will call you, I will bow down, you are a gamer. Because Etrian Odyssey is so tough. It is ridiculously hard. I put 100 and somewhere between 140 to 180 hours into Etrian Odyssey 2 on the DS back in 2014, maybe even earlier than that, to be honest. And I could never beat it. And from my recollection, I got to, there's sort of two ways to beat it. There are these things called stratums, and stratums are like layers, and each layer there are 5 different levels, and that's considered a stratum. So it's there's a foresty area at the beginning, then you go to it's also a foresty area, but I think it's more autumnal. Then you go to a wintry area, then there's a summery area, something like that. So they go through the seasons, and then you go to this it's like a spaceship or something. And then here's the crazy thing. So on the spaceship level, when you get to the end, you fight the boss and the credits roll, but then they give you more, and they're like, all right, here's one final stratum, another 5 levels. Complete this and you can fight the final boss, and if you beat that, then you get extra credits and you get all this stuff, right? And also the game has a really detailed, or fairly detailed, bestiary. It has a compendium of all the items and weapons you can get, and I love that stuff. Filling up compendiums, filling up bestiaries is just my favorite thing to do. and I could never finish it. I could never finish it. I beat like the spaceship level boss, but the boss beyond, like the final boss, I never got to it. I got to, so it's like 6 stratums, 5 layers per stratum, so there should be 30 different kind of like areas that you explore, and I think I got to like 28. And here's the crazy thing, I didn't even lose to like a boss. I lost to like this weird pumpkin enemy that I just didn't have the right character set up to beat. I think it was like super weak to magic or something, and I just didn't have enough magic dealers. And I remember going, if I ever play this again, all I have to do is make sure that I have 2 of these magic guys, and then I can like win. And I actually did play it again in like 2021, I think it was. And I forgot about that, and I got all the way to that part. Actually, did I get all the way? I don't know if I got all the way to that part, but I got close, and it was just, I could never finish it again, and I was like, so frustrating. So, but Etrian Odyssey, like, honestly, it is so tough and so good. One quick thing that I'll mention before moving on, the reason it's so hard, or one of the reasons it's so hard is, you know, like when you're playing an RPG and you misclick, like for example, you might use like an ether on a character to restore their MP, but they're like, you meant to press down 1 extra time to hit the character whose MP had actually lowered, and the one that you hit actually had full MP. So whatever game you're playing, that really doesn't matter, because then it'll only take you half a second. Like the game will go like, that character's MP is full, and then you can go down and select the actual right character. Etrian Odyssey doesn't do that. It goes, yep, you used it, too bad. So you can use like potions, you can use ethers, you can use revives. Like you could just flat out have 10 revives, use it on a character who's alive, and they're gone. They're just gone. And so the game is brutal in that thing. You might not think that matters that much, but the amount of misclicks that humans are very fault capable. Is that yeah? I guess that makes sense. Fault capable, and the amount of like misclicks and mishits you do throughout the whole thing is insane. The only thing I didn't like about the one out of those 3 of Etrian Odyssey, the one that I mainly played was Etrian Odyssey 2. For whatever reason, I kind of like skipped over 1, but I played 2. That's my main one. I also felt like there was only like certain ways to play. Like some classes just didn't really, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like, this class is useless, this class is useless. It probably wasn't, but it did feel that way. And also the big downside to the game is that like, in order to actually get like stronger, what you had to do was you had to get to, I think the highest level is like level 70. And then what you do is you'd retire that character, and it would reduce that character to like level 30. But it would be like a new character. It would be like the ancestor of that character. And so the ancestor would actually have higher base stats, but it would only start at level 30. Then you could actually reach level 71. So it'd allow you to get to 1 level higher to reach level 71. Then you'd retire it again back to level 30, then it could reach level 72, and you did that over and over and over again. And I remember when I first played the game, I think I got up to like level 80, and I'm like, I can't stand this anymore. It takes hours to get from level 30 to level 70, and doing it over and over and over and over again. Yeah, you get like an extra point to spend in your skills, and you get extra stats and all that kind of stuff. But it was such a frustrating way to level your characters. So it is really annoying. It's like the epitome of annoyance, but you know, it is still, honestly, it's a fantastic game. It really, like, despite all of that negativity, it's an amazing game. The next one that they announced was Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. So I don't think I've ever talked about this game on the channel. Ghost Trick was kind of like a hidden gem game that I came across like at some point in the past. It's a mystery story. It's very confusing. You're like, what is going on the whole time? And then for me, like, my favorite thing about it is that if you do play it and you do get to the end, like, the story's it's very mysterious all the way through, like, especially the beginning. Then it kind of just like, you know, it just hits certain beats, and it's the same all the way through. And then when you finally get to the bit towards the end and they reveal the twist, you're like, oh, like, what? At least for me, I was like, I couldn't believe what the twist was. I think some people, like most people, would actually go like, that's a lame twist, especially like, I don't know, something about like nowadays, I feel like it's a lame twist. But when I saw it, I was just like, okay. So yeah, they released that, or they announced that Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. It comes out on June 30th. It's a remaster. It looks like they've done, you know, all the bells and whistles. That's another thing I should point out. Sometimes when a remaster is really, really good, I think people will play it regardless of whether they like the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know what? I'm not a big Final Fantasy guy, but 7 Remake, it was such a good remake, I'm going to play that. You know, like you might not have even played the original and you're like, everyone's saying this is like incredible. That's probably a bad example because 7 Remake's not exactly a remake. Like there's more to it than that without spoiling it too much. But yeah, like you might play a game that is not exactly something that you would play. It's a remaster or a remake, not exactly something that you would play, but everyone's raving about it because of how high quality the remake is, so you end up playing it. I think Ghost Trick falls into that category. I said before, the Pixel remaster is apparently coming in Q2. Now, the next one. This is the one that I probably will play because I just kind of have to. Master Detective Archives Rain Code. So for those who don't know, this is going to be like the new game, at least I'm fairly sure, I better check this later on, but I'm fairly sure this is like the new game. This is the next iteration of where like Danganronpa goes. So it's the same developers as Danganronpa. I think it's like Spike Chunsoft and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully I'm not mixing up the publisher there. But yeah, I think it's those guys. It's also the guys who did the 999 series mixed up, and they made Rain Code. It looks very interesting. There's like a lot of stuff going on in the trailer for the game. It definitely has the Danganronpa like paintbrush over it because you look at it and you're like, yeah, I can see like this is pretty much just an evolution. That's the word I was looking for. Evolution of Danganronpa. So I don't know. It looks cool. I think I basically have to play it because it's a new Danganronpa. Oh, it's a new game from the same developers. So I think I'll be picking that one up for myself at some point. I don't know. It should come out on the PlayStation as well. It's Switch, but like they announced it for the Switch, but I think it had PlayStation there as well. And then the other one that I actually didn't even know about, I was just like literally on the Nintendo website, just clicking each month, Teslagrad 2. So for those who don't know, I have Teslagrad on my channel. It only has like 7 or 9 episodes, something like that. It was a very short game. It was cool. It was just one of those games that I did like early on. I think it was on PS Plus. I enjoyed it. It was actually like a lot of fun. And yeah, apparently there's a Teslagrad 2 coming in Q2 of this year. So yeah, lots to look forward to from like Nintendo's Direct was amazing and lots and lots to look forward to. All right, let's go. We've got to go a bit quicker. We're on 17 minutes. This always happens. I always just keep talking. But anyway, Re4 Remake is coming out on 24th of March, which is exactly 12 days from now. To be honest, I don't know if I'll get it just yet. I might wait, but it depends on how everything else is progressing, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit, pretty much right now. But yeah, it don't get me wrong, it looks amazing. I said in one of my previous updates that it looked like they were going for a more gritty, grounded, realistic kind of gameplay, but I don't think that anymore. Like there's still wisecracks. There's still it seems to have like a fun flair to it. So they actually did keep the essence of what the original RE4 was, but I think upgrading the graphics and also keeping that essence was difficult to do, and everyone's raving about it. Everyone's saying like this looks like the best game ever made again. It's going to be, you know, again, my feelings for those who don't remember, I thought RE4 was good. I thought it was a good game and I thought it was very fun. I think it was also a product of its time because it was just so clunky. And that actually makes me think that the remake is going to be really, really good because there's so many more mechanics in there. There's a lot of good stuff going. So yeah, I honestly, I hope that it's not, it definitely doesn't look like what RE3 Remake ended up being. And it looks like Capcom really went all out on this one. So I'm happy for them. And also now that leaves 5 and 6 to remake. That one's a bit tricky. Like how many more years are we going to go through before 5? I think people are going to go complain. It's like, boo, 5 doesn't need a remake. It still looks like it came out yesterday. Like, no, it doesn't. It looks old. Go back and play it. Maybe the PS4 version, like the remaster. I think that, yeah, there's a PS4 version. Maybe that version looks a bit newer, but if you play the PS3 version, like it does show its age. Same with like The Last of Us. So many people complain, like, dude, just let other people play it. Yeah, I know there's like, I have this kind of like opinion of like, look, every good property it already exists. No one's going to create anything good ever again. Everything is done. Obviously, that's not true, but it does take a lot longer nowadays, I think, for stuff to come out. And isn't everything derivative of everything else? You know what I mean? Like when you start watching like old movies and you start going, oh, this actually relates very heavily to this new product, like that trope. Like this is like the whole concept of tropes, right? Like tropes are like what we can use to develop more media and books and films and TV and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I digress. What I was going to say was, so RE4 Remake comes out on 24th March. I don't know if I'll get it straight away, but I think I will eventually get it. After you see this video, I'm actually going to take a very slight break. It's probably going to be about a week. I didn't want to do this, but to be honest, like things have been like just very, honestly, like time has just been moving too fast. Like we need to cool it with how many days are going by, because it's like, it's already March. We're already halfway through March in 2023, and it's just flying by. And it's just been very, very difficult to keep up. So I'm going to take about a bit of a week break. I'm sorry about that for anyone who, you know, likes watching the content day by day and having those daily updates. But I just, at the moment, I'm like, this is the last video that I'm creating, and then I have to create more. And I need like, I think a week would be good. So the next game that I'm actually going to do is Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. It is the, let's do this, final Danganronpa game, but it's actually not, and I'm going to point that out exactly what I mean by that, because I was not aware of this until I believe it was slightly after I made the last update video. So I want to do V3. V3 is the last sort of mainline series game. It's going to be, you know, more of what we got in Danganronpa 1 and 2. I think it's quite divisive, the game. I've said in the past that this is my favorite game. I don't know, because now my opinions are changing. Ever since I played Ultra Despair Girls again, and how like just down that game was, it kind of brought it down on my list of high quality games. I'm not necessarily basing it on like just how I feel about it. It's just necessarily like down is down, you know what I mean? And it does make you feel down, and there's so little reprieve, there's so little respite in that game, and levity, that it really just, it's so depressing, and I just don't think it has what like the amazing story that 1 has, or really like how good the story of 2 is as well. Because 2, I think it's like the underdog, and you watch it again and you're like, you know what, this story is really solid. Like they set up a whole bunch of things that kind of don't make sense, and by the end of it you're like, okay, makes sense, yeah. So I don't know. And Ultra Despair Girls is very like, I don't know, it's through line. It's like, these are some bad guys and this is some good guys, and there's a bit of, you know, mix up in the middle, but yeah, it works. It's just, I don't know, not particularly my favorite. But V3, I've been playing it a little bit, trying to get some practice in, and I've been like, oh, okay, I don't remember that part, or wow, I didn't remember that's how that went, and whatever. But yeah, I've talked about it before. The end game is incredible. And speaking of the end game, there is actually one more Danganronpa game that I was not aware of. I was aware of it when it was released on the Switch in December of 2021. So in that month and year, Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp was released on the Switch. And then apparently in July of last year, in 2022, it also released on PlayStation. I didn't know this. I thought, like, I remember seeing it on the Switch, and I was like, well, it'd be cool to play that, but I don't think I'm going to buy it on the Switch. So, you know, maybe it'll come to the PlayStation one day. And then it just kind of like, what do they call it now? There's like a term that they've come up with. That game HiFi Rush. It was like silently released. It's a silent drop. I don't know. Covert drop. There's some kind of terminology that people are using when like that game Hi-Fi Rush was like, oh, here's a new game, and it comes out tomorrow, and it's like, what? There's been like no marketing whatsoever, and it comes out tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, Danganronpa came out last year. This new Danganronpa came out last year in July. And I think I'll probably get to that someday, because I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that game is basically the end game of V3 as a full package. So that sounds like awesome to me, because I love the end game. I just have to get to it again to really like get into it. Hopefully I'm not going to be overwhelmed by it. Like I feel like I will be, but that's why we're taking a week off, to try and like give myself a little bit of a break. And yeah, so we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, also with Danganronpa going on, because I've talked about this before, but with Danganronpa, it's a bit easier to record, so it gives me more time to do other stuff. I would like to. I'm not really feeling like doing it, but I feel like I should because it's part of something that I've done before. The RE8 DLC, which I have played through at least once. I need to kind of get that on the channel, and I did say that I was going to try and do it. I think like during Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it just ends up being too much. It's honestly so hard. I think the whole like I want to do hour-long episodes. It's so much. It's just too much. I have so much to do constantly, and it's hard to keep up with that. So, you know, I did what I could, and I'll do the same for V3. I'll try and do a few hour-long episodes here and there to get through it. But I'm like I said, I'm just doing the best I can do. So the RE8 DLC, I'll try and do that. I've talked about Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World. I will probably try and continue my practice for that because I mentioned it before, but I got to like chapter 4 out of 8 last year when I was doing Elden Ring. Yeah, because I got sick. That's right. I had COVID, so I stayed at home and I had a bit more time to catch up on stuff. And so I was able to get far enough in Elden Ring to be able to spend some times, like a few weekends, like doing Dawn of the New World. So I'll try and do that. And we'll get to regular Tales of Symphonia in a moment as well. I want to thank one of my viewers. It wasn't necessarily just him, but he brought it up at an appropriate time. Kiranis, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He suggested, he kind of came across the 999 games on his own. If you don't know what they are, they're like the nonary games, the 999 games. They are sort of, if I'm not mistaken, Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp, which I just mentioned, was created by the original developers of Danganronpa and I think by the 999 people. Axis Soft, something like that. I think that's what it is. I'll try and look it up when I get a chance. But so they created the 999 games, which are amazing in their own right. And he was wondering, you know, would I do a Let's Platinum for them? And in all honesty, because of how they are, they're visual novel games, they're also fairly easy to record. I think it makes sense to eventually get to those because I do love those as well. And I remember my good friend Chris said when I brought up the 999 games to him, he's like, if you like them, actually it was the wow, we've almost come full circle. It was my 100 subscriber video. He said, if you like the 999 games, you should play Danganronpa because Danganronpa, like the 999 games have nothing on Danganronpa. And yeah, you're right, the Danganronpa games are better, but it doesn't mean that the 99 games are terrible. In fact, they're very, very good. And they actually have some like real world information in there, which is awesome. Some really, really interesting stuff about, well, no, I shouldn't say it because that will actually spoil the plot of the first game. I was just about to say the exact, the relation to the real world thing. So, but I won't do that. Look, if I do intend on doing the 999 games, it will be after V3 and it will almost certainly be after the summer camp game as well. So we're looking still like 2 years away, but I think that's definitely like on the cards for the future. The other thing, so thank you Kiranis for that suggestion because it probably would have come into my mind again, but it was nice to have it just like, you know, it was nice for you to like go find that on your own and go, hey, what about this? This looks amazing. It's like, yep, all right, I'll try and do that at some point in the future. The next thing is Tales of Symphonia Remastered. So last time I believe it was announced, but it hadn't come out yet. It has since come out. I've got it. It's in the cupboard. I have got it. I've played it for like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something like that. It has problems. It has a lot of problems. There's some loading time problems, which it boggles my mind. Like the way that like when you run into monsters, I can't remember if it was running into monsters or like entering and exit screens. Some of it is faster, some of it is slower, and it just doesn't make sense. This is like, it's running on a PS5. It's a PS4 game running on a PS5. It should be like instantaneous, right? Sorry if that was loud. And it's not. Another big thing was the whole 30 FPS, 60 FPS debacle. For those who aren't aware, Tales of Symphonia, the original, came out on GameCube in 2004 or 2005, something like that. And it ran at 60 frames, which in my mind is insane. Like I have that game and I don't even remember like it running at 60 frames, but apparently it ran at 60 frames. This game, nor does the PS3 version, the Chronicles version, which I've already done, run at 60 frames. So I don't know why the PS3 version didn't. That game has been out for ages. They haven't updated it. And this one doesn't. Now, apparently, the Bandai Namco has acknowledged the stuff that's going wrong, like the issues with the game, which gives me hope that they will try and fix this with a patch in the future. Obviously, I think the 60 frames per second, getting a patch for 60 frames would be just the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. That would be the perfect thing, and it'll give me an absolutely huge incentive to redo it, because I have talked about that in the past. I've wanted to redo the game. So if they do that, I think that's a massive plus. In the meantime, it's, I've got it. It's here. I'll try and get to it when I can. But I think it would be wise to wait a bit longer before I, dive back into it. I think definitely let's see what kind of patch they release. Let's see what kind of hubbub the Tales community delivers to them, probably via Twitter and other social media, to say, hey, listen, this isn't good enough. Like, we really love this game and we want it to be good. So can you please release like a 60 frames patch? It would be awesome. The conspiratorial person would say that Bandai actually did this on purpose to get the first bunch of sales from nostalgia, like people who want to buy the game for nostalgia, and then potentially they could actually reimburse or not reimburse, but like reinvigorate the will to buy this game from people who would buy it because it's a good port, which is what I was talking about earlier. It's like not a game that you might have played, but because it becomes, if it's like a really good port, you'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a bit more inclined to play it now that it's a fantastic port. So look, whatever happens, I'm praying, fingers crossed, that they will update the game to have 60 frames and all the fixes. I think the fixes will be easy. 60 frames is less likely, but it's just what I think. All right, we're almost done. So I've actually been playing one game a little bit over the past couple of weeks. Like, as I said, I have had less time, but I also still want to try and like have some fun for myself. So finally, it was something that I'd been waiting for. The PlayStation Store had a sale, and I think it was the editor's choice or the critic's choice. And I was like, oh, this might be the one. This might be the sale I'm looking for, because it was a critically acclaimed game that I really wanted to play, and it came out many years ago, and I was like, let's see if it's cheap. And it was finally reduced. And the game I'm talking about is Hades from Supergiant Games. It is an awesome game. It's an amazing game. It's really fun. The music is awesome. The gameplay is incredible. The story, everything about it is just really cool. And for those who are unaware, in December of last year at the Game Awards, Hades 2 was announced. So I'm curious to see how that stacks up against the first game. Here's the thing, like, I've played now, I haven't played it in like a week and a half, but I was doing like one run every day for around an hour, because it's one of those games where you can just like, all right, I'm going to do a quick Hades run. It's only going to take 40 minutes to an hour. Let's do it. Let's get it out of the way. Cool. It took me, I think, 14 attempts, and then my 15th attempt was successful to get out of hell. And it was it was really good. And then every subsequent attempt after that, I think I escaped almost every time. I've beaten the game once with every weapon, and I've beaten it 3 times with the bow, and then I think 2 times with something else, but I can't quite remember. But yeah, it's an awesome game. The only downside that I'm seeing is like there's a lot of gods in the game, and you get a lot of boons for them. But once you've actually like played the game enough times, you're like, okay, I know the boons almost. Like, I'd still have to play it a lot, but I'm starting to recognize and understand each boon, and you know them a lot, and you know which combinations go well together, which combinations don't go so well together, and all that. And I just don't think there's enough variety. So I'm interested to see if, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are like, no, there's plenty of variety. It's like, I don't know. But with Hades 2, I'm interested to see if that's like a key point that they look at when they're making it. It's like, okay, we want it to be like basically the same system, but we want to have just more. And I think this is their first attempt at a sequel. This is like one of the big things about Supergiant Games is they never make sequels, but this one was so popular that I think they just kind of had to say, yep, all right, we need to make a sequel. So yeah, and it looks, I mean, like the trailer it's not short, but it's also not that long. So it's hard to tell exactly I don't know if they're doing a different mythology. I think I saw Mercury in there, which I think is Roman. I hope I'm not wrong about that. But anyway, it looks like maybe they'll do a mashup of a few different ones, because I thought I saw like, is it, no, not Chaos. Isn't it Kronos is the time? I think I saw Kronos in there, but I think that's Greek as well, which is the original one. I don't know. There's a lot to it. but it looks like I am kind of curious for that one as well, even though I'll probably buy it like 5 years later because I won't have time to play it. But yeah. Okay, and one last thing before I go, a question to finish the video. I kind of mentioned this before, but what games have you tried to finish multiple times, but you can't stay motivated, or you just lose interest for some reason? And I'm talking about like games that you might, I guess it doesn't really matter when, but games that you retire from playing in the first few hours, or maybe it's a game that it's like an RPG, it's a long RPG, and you always get to the same point, and then for some reason something happens and you just can't continue it. My one, I think I mentioned it before, was Advance Wars. I really enjoy that game. I just, for some reason, I play like maybe the first few hours and then I just stop. I don't know. I haven't played it like recently, but that's the one I remember the most. So yeah, let me know about that. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave things there. So to recap, tomorrow there will be, for the next week, I would say, so this comes out on Monday, Australia time, so probably Sunday for most of you. Give it about a week. If there's nothing there should be something in a week, like almost certainly there should be something in a week. But yeah, I'm going to take a bit of a week off. The rest of the day is going to be devoted to practicing Danganronpa V3, plus all the amount of time that goes past after I come back home from work during this week. I might even try and take a sneaky day off if I can this week to get even more time. I have a lot of time off and I've been wanting to take it, but I just want to make sure that everyone at my work like knows exactly what they're doing so that I don't have to come back to some kind of chaos at some point. But yeah, so we have the people now, and it's just about training them up, making sure everyone knows what they're doing. So I'll try and get that done. We've got, unfortunately, in like 2-3 weeks, we've got Easter, so there'll be a few extra days off. Maybe I'll take an extra one as well there. So I'm going to try and take a few more days off just to, catch up on stuff, because I deserve it. I've been working hard. Anyway, we'll leave things there. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope to see you with another update video at some point in the future, and with the first episode of Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony at some point next week. So go watch everyone else while I prepare. So I want to thank you for watching this update video. My name's Ultima456. You're the Ultimates, and I'll see you next time.